Someone, you create a visionary. Someone. Someone. I see you. I see the presence of divinity within you. I see. Gyagbon. How are you doing? I hope it's a good day. It's always a good day when you're with me. How could it not be? So, we have a beautiful lesson today, discourse, sharing. I would like for us to start with drumming. Should we drum? No. Please, 2 seconds. I'm going to rattle. Okay. Yes. We're going to rattle. Higher self, speak, I'm listening. Okay. We're going to rattle today because we want to call back our energy. Yesterday we performed a similar ceremony of calling back our energy. Today we're talking about imposter syndrome. And a lot of imposter syndrome I've come to understand in my own life comes from ancestry, lineage, past lifetimes. So I think it's so important to be conscious of this and be aware of this. I shared with you that on the full moon, a few days ago, I went to the onsen and I rebirthed my consciousness. I consciously rebirthed my consciousness, and I saw where in me I was still attached to parts of my lineage, parts of my family, parts of the Zulu tribe, right? Not Amazulu, meaning the heavenly beings, the heavenly family, but the Zulu people from South Africa, that tribe. And through that, through that rebirth ceremony that I had at the onsen, I have been the dreams, oh my goodness, it has been nonstop since the 5th of December. Every day, the dreams, the begging, the crying. So many people just coming into my dream space, just begging and crying and pleading. And I'm just like, not my business, not my problem, not my frequency, not my fate. the manipulation, even in the astral field. Oh my God, it has been quite something. So this work really does work. It really does work, not as if I don't know that it works, because it's energy. So when you choose to no longer engage in traumas that held your ancestors, your family members, yourself, and rebirth yourself into the remembrance of who you really are, things happen. Things happen. And so during that process of rebirth, I was listening to astrologist yesterday, and I was like, wow, yeah, these things are real. I've never studied astrology. I went to an astrologist before I left America, before I left South Africa to America. And what they said was spot on, honestly spot on. I should have gone to more astrologists while I was in America, but but now we're in a season of rebirth, which is kind of the period. And I have been, for this past season of these live streams, been calling back my own energy, and in that process asking you to call back your energy from places you did not consent, and let what must happen happen. Whatever must happen, right? So if you have not consented to your energy being used in any way, your ideas, your content, whatever, you can call back your energy. And if you choose to call back your energy, things will just start collapsing, because you never consented to your energy being used in that way. Okay, you can say, but like, you put your stuff out online, but okay, I did not consent to some of the theft. So everyone is allowed to call back their energy. You can even call back your energy from ChatGPT because you're paying your subscription. So you can call back your energy, because it's all energy in the end. So because we're going to be talking about success and imposter syndrome today, I think it's so important that we call back our energy from family. We call back our energy from past lifetimes, parallel lifetimes, future lifetimes. It's all happening at the same time. Okay? And as you call back your energy just recalibrates to the rebirthing of your consciousness in the present moment. I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday, and I said, the past influences the present. The present influences the future. So it's best to stay in the present because the present has been created by your past decisions. And if you're conscious now in the present, you are influencing your future, which really there is no future, present, past. It's just all happening now in the present. So it's so important to stay in the present. So let's call back our energy from places and spaces we did not consent. And even if we did consent and we have changed our mind, you can call it back, so that you can have access to that wisdom, to that energy, to whatever it is that you need in the present moment. Okay? So please make sure that you close your eyes, lift your eyeballs, your eyes to the center of your forehead, and taking a deep breath in through the nose, sitting up straight. And as you exhale, drop the shoulders. And just be okay with being present. Being present. Not thinking about the past. not ruminating about your past mistakes, your past failures, successes, obsessing and being anxious about the future. Just allow yourself to be present. And let's please continue to breathe. Moya wami, moya wami buye ekhaya. Ngiyakubiza moya wami buye ekhaya emzimbeni wami, engqondweni yami. Imali yami mayibuye, izinto zami mazibuye. Zonke izinto zalabantu abalalele la babatshontshele. Izinto zabo mazibuye. Moya wami buye ekhaya. Moya wami maziwe lezinto. Seziwile lezinto. Seziwile lezinto. Seziwile lezinto. Ziwile lezinto. Ziyawa lezinto. Seziwile lezinto. Seziwile lezinto. Oh, moya wami, yabo. Taking a deep breath in through the nose. Out through the mouth with a gentle sigh and dropping the shoulders. Please gently open your eyes. And we shall read. If the rattles were loud, and they stirred some intensity or uncomfortable feelings within you, I invite you to examine those sensations, those feelings, and if they are associated to a specific emotion as we read, be conscious of that, be mindful of that, yes, throughout our reading. Okay. Psychological and emotional life. The betrayal of authentic self. I have not committed adultery. Dr. Amanda presents her research on authentic leadership to the corporate board, her voice confident and professional, while internally she burns with shame about the parts of herself she's betrayed to maintain her image. Her authentic, creative, wild, intuitive self has been systematically abandoned for the safe, acceptable, professional persona that her career demands. She commits adultery against her own soul by living as someone she's not. Her nervous system has learned to split between her authentic self and her performed self, creating internal fragmentation that leaves her feeling empty despite external success. The boardroom that validates her achievement feels like a prison where she betrays her deepest nature, while her authentic self withers from neglect and abandonment. Psychological adultery occurs when we betray our authentic self through secret relationships with false identities, personas, or versions of ourselves that violate our deepest psychological integrity. Our nervous system creates elaborate internal affairs with acceptable identities while abandoning our authentic nature. Embodiment practice. Stand in front of a mirror and look into your own eyes and ask, who am I when no one is watching? What parts of me what parts of myself do I betray through false identities? Feel any tension between your authentic self and your performed self. And say to yourself, I choose psychological integrity through authentic self-expression. Okay. Let's read again. Dr. Amanda presents her research on authentic leadership to the corporate board, her voice confident and professional, while internally she burns with shame about the parts of herself she's betrayed to maintain her image. Her authentic, creative, wild, intuitive self has been systematically abandoned for the safe, acceptable, professional persona that her career demands. She commits adultery against her own soul by living as someone she's not. How many of us have lived like this? How many of us have lived like this? I remember, let's share a story. I remember I used to, of course, I've always been a hippie. I've just always lived my life as a hippie. And I remember getting the email from the hedge fund that I was going to work for in New York. And I remember I had I think it was 6 weeks for me to accept the job offer and move to New York. And in that 6 weeks, my whole wardrobe changed. I remember going to J. Crew, Banana Republic, a lot of those stores in America. And I remember looking at my closet, which was filled with colorful clothes, interesting shoes. And I remember looking at it and saying, this part of me is finished. I remember saying that to myself. I was just thinking about it. I think it was 2020, 2021 when I started to have these memories. Okay. So I thought to myself, this part of me is finished. Okay. I went and bought these beige outfits, black suit. I'd never in my life worn a black suit. I remember buying a very expensive suit. I can't remember from what store I bought it. I think it's like $1,000 or something. And I remember saying to myself, I have arrived. I have arrived. I have arrived. Yeah, I probably spent, I don't know, maybe $5,000 just on a whole new wardrobe. Because I'm like, I've arrived. I remember buying shirts. I remember buying just like clothes that were like my image of what it would be to feel successful and that I had arrived to Wall Street. I remember just having that memory. Actually, that wasn't the beginning. That wasn't the beginning of my. I'll tell you the other story later, but that was like the defining moment that I remember where I switched from creative self to, having a pink office and making my collages and painting and just dancing and doing my thing. I remember that moment because 8 months before that, I had applied to, maybe 10 months before that, I'd applied to go and do my MBA at Harvard. So I got invited to Harvard. So I sat through all of the classes. They have these mock classes. So you sit not mock classes, but you sit as a student, prospective student. Yes. So you go through this whole process of prospective student. It's a 2 to 3 day experience. So you can choose whether you want to go for 2 or 3 days. And you sit through all the MBA classes and you get to engage with the current students of that year. And you get to talk to the professors and you just become a Harvard student for 3 days. So I remember going to Harvard with my husband, and that was kind of like for me the beginning, the beginning of change. Because I remember buying clothes for that experience. I'm like, oh my God, I've arrived. I came from Soweto, South Africa. I have applied to go to Harvard. Now they are inviting me and my GPA is great. And I've written all of my essays and all of this stuff. So now they've invited me to come. I said, this girl has arrived. Okay. I had already arrived when I first came to America. But now I was like, no. Now I've arrived at a bigger playing ground, okay? Like at a bigger stage, okay? So that was like the first change, the first sign of giving up parts of myself. So I bought these clothes and I went to Harvard and I had a really great time. I remember the first night after a full day of spending the day in the MBA program, I went home and I slept. I went to the hotel room and I slept. My grandfather came into my dreams. Dreams are my thing, right? So my grandfather comes into my dream space and he says to me, "You're not going there. You will not attend Harvard." What? So I wake up and I tell my husband, I'm like, babe, I have spent so much time, so much money preparing for this, all the GMAT classes, all the preparation to get here. Now I'm having a dream and my grandfather is saying to me, you're not going to attend Harvard. You're not going to do that. You're going to forget your ancestral knowledge. You're going to forget who you are. And once you forget who you are, it is so difficult to go back and reclaim, because you already started off with these private schools in South Africa, and now you speak with a British accent, and now you're going to go to another level. You will not go there. We will block the way. I said, okay. So I'm having this conversation with my husband in the morning. My husband's looking at me like I'm crazy. He's like, so you're not going to complete this process of finishing your MBA at Harvard because of a dream from your grandfather? I said, well, I'm still going to go. So the next day, I continue. I go to another class. Another full day of Harvard. Okay. That night, so this is day 2. That night, I have my grandmother and my grandfather come into my dream space, and now they are shaking me awake in my dreams. I woke up with such a sweat. Day 3. I said to my husband, no man, I am having these awful dreams. Like I woke up with heart palpitations. Like I felt like somebody was chasing me and was yelling at me. And I said, no man, something's not right. Something is fundamentally not right. They keep saying, I cannot, I am going to forget myself. Oh, okay. My husband's like, well, we're already here. So you might as well just go to day 3 and go through and have interviews, and we're not going to go back to Vegas. We're already here, so might as well. So day 3 was half day. It wasn't the full day. Okay, so I sit through and I talk to people and all of that. And then we go for dinner that night, that evening. And I had a glass of wine. Oh, I should not have had a glass of wine. I had a glass of wine. That night, I couldn't sleep. As soon as I closed my eyes, I would have these nightmares of just being lost. Like, lost. And I was like, I don't know. I couldn't speak Zulu anymore. I couldn't speak my native language anymore. I just felt like parts of me were missing and lost. It was a real nightmare. And I woke up the next day I said to my husband, I think maybe it was the red wine. It was really bad. 3 days of just horrible nightmares. Okay. So we stay another day in Boston and Massachusetts, and then we fly back to Vegas. The dreams, I said, no, I'm not going to listen to these people, these dead people. I'm going to carry on with the applications. I'm just going to carry on with the applications. The nightmares did not stop until I finally said to myself, oh, okay, I can't live like this anymore. I like to sleep, because if I sleep, I make better choices, better decisions in a sea of choices. If I sleep well, I am a lot happier. Until I stopped the application process, I couldn't sleep. I would sleep 2 hours and just feel like I was being dismembered. Like parts of me were falling off. Okay? So I said, okay, clearly my spirit is not in resonance with this. I probably need to start listening to my intuition. Then I went back to reading Martha Beck's book, Finding Your North Star. Okay? And I said, okay, so maybe this is not my North Star. Maybe this is not my North Star. Why do I keep having these bad dreams? It doesn't make sense. My husband keeps saying to me, but you've come so far. Why would you just give up? I'm like, but it's probably not my North Star. They keep telling me that I'm going to forget myself. I don't know what that means. That I'm going to forget the wisdom, the innate wisdom. I really don't understand what that means. So I just said, okay, I'm giving up. I'm giving up on this. I'm just going, not that I was giving up on it. I'm just going to follow my North Star. Okay, so I thought my North Star was going to work on Wall Street. That was part of the process. So 7 months later, I get this email that says, oh, we would love for you to come and work for our hedge fund. Great. My whole personality changed. My wardrobe changed. And I thought to myself, I have arrived. Okay, so I didn't follow the Harvard path, but now I followed the path where this is my North Star. This is my North Star. While I was in New York, I stopped practicing yoga. I stopped engaging in art, creativity. I was living in my left brain. I was hella miserable. I had moments of joy, but I could tell that I was losing parts of myself. But it wasn't conscious. It was, I need to speak like the traders I work with. I need to work as hard as they do to be as successful. I need to work ethic, language, dress code. Then I decided after maybe 2 months, I no longer want to wear a suit. I no longer want to wear these button-up shirts. I am going to just now start being business casual. That was like relief. But I could tell that parts of myself that creative right brain part of myself that kept me balanced was starting to atrophy. That ability for me to just laugh out loud and just be extremely happy spontaneously, I started losing that part of me. My life revolved around work, the library to go get books, which, okay, I really loved. And in New York, there were incredible libraries where you could just sit the whole day and read. And going to Barnes and Nobles to read some more, because that was the culture of perfectionism, excellence, which is not inherently bad, but you push yourself to be something that the finance field deems success, deems perfectionistic success. But I honestly lost myself. By the time I moved to Vegas, I had to learn how to love being in a pink office. My home office was pink, the walls were pink. I had to learn how to navigate loving my cooking space. I had to learn how to navigate getting back into nature, going on hikes. I like totally rewired my brain. I had to learn how to dance again. I was really depressed and really miserable. I couldn't articulate it until 2000, maybe 17, 18, 19, 20. Because now I was sitting with my own methodology of healing that was coming through me, especially when I was in Japan, because I was consistently going to the onsens and going to the waters and just rebirthing myself and just rebirthing myself and just rebirthing myself in the onsens. That's when like these parts of me, I started to remember again. I was like, oh my goodness, I really loved doing this. I really loved going to the museums. I really loved going to art galleries. I really loved going to arts and crafts stores and buying little trinkets and collages and making all of the stuff. So when I was in Japan, actually I started it when I was living in China, but when I was in Japan, that just became more of my daily life or weekly life. I would go and buy some art things and start making art at home, ride my bicycle throughout the city and go buy groceries and just put my groceries in on my bicycle basket. And I just was like, oh, I'm coming back to myself again. Like that creative, like carefree, hippie person. It wasn't like trying to be so perfect according to whose version of perfection. So as I've shared this vignette with you, maybe you've gone on this journey yourself where work or your profession has asked you or suggested, programmed you to give up parts of yourself to be accepted. It doesn't, let's pause there, to be accepted in the field. Right? And you have consciously said yes, unconsciously said yes. So now you have all of the success, you have all the accolades, but it doesn't feel fulfilling. Because we have been taught, have been programmed to believe that survival means a part of us must grow up. Corporate is apparently a place for grown-ups, adults. But honestly, it's not. It's still children. Wearing suits, very expensive suits, and very expensive clothes. Still children. Okay? So, Dr. Amanda presents her research on authentic leadership to the corporate board. Her voice confident and professional, while internally she burns with shame about the parts of herself she's betrayed to maintain her image. Her authentic creative, wild, intuitive self has been systematically abandoned for the safe, acceptable professional persona that her career demands. Okay. She commits adultery against her own soul by living as someone she's not. You start to fragment when you're living as someone you're not. And it starts with very small things. Like you start seeing people at work who are wearing high heels when you have never loved wearing high heels, when you're probably a loafer person. And so now you're like, okay, if they're successful because they're wearing high heels, maybe I should start wearing high heels. Okay, there's nothing wrong with high heels, but maybe you just never liked wearing high heels. You're a loafer person. And now you start to think to yourself, okay, if I don't wear high heels, even if I don't look like them, that means maybe I won't get a promotion. That means maybe I will not be successful. Okay? But what is your authentic self saying? What is your authentic self? Do you even know? It's so, the programming is so unconscious. So unconscious. And once you awaken to how much of yourself you have given, the grief of the time you have invested while diminishing parts of yourself is overwhelming. The grief. Because calling back, awakening those parts of yourself that had to go to sleep so that you could fit in, so that you could be accepted, is a strenuous journey. Because it means you have to tell the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth. That means you've got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I live a lie. I am in this profession, I am in this job because my parents told me that I need to be here. And my parents told me that if I don't do this work, if I am not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a fashion designer, I'm not a this, I'm not a this, I'm not an actress, I'm not a this, I will not be loved, I will not be accepted. So it starts with the career. For me, it was gratefully my grandfather and my grandmother saying, you're going to lose yourself. And once you have lost yourself with this education, it will be so difficult for you to even hear the voice of your higher self. Never mind hearing the voice of the ancestors, just the voice of your higher self. You will lose yourself. I was like, because all of education, I'm not, please hear me, saying that education is bad. I'm not saying that education is wrong. If you are going to pursue these educational routes, understand that there are parts of you that you're going to have to give up to be accepted, to conform, because life is about conforming. And once you've conformed and you wake up and realize, oh my God, is this what adulthood is about? Nah. Is this truly what adulthood is about? That awareness will bring up number one, a lot of shame that you allowed yourself to be programmed. Number two, a lot of frustration, disillusionment, rage and anger, but you won't even know what the rage and anger is about. You won't know what it's about. Because you cannot deny the voice of the soul. You cannot. I remember I was sharing with one girl at immigration. She was American. And I met her at immigration. And I said to her, by the time I moved to Thailand, I couldn't hear the voice of God anymore. I couldn't. And that's just my higher self in concert with God consciousness, I was like, I was just in such a strange place. I just couldn't hear the voice of God anymore. She looked at me, she was like, yeah, hearing the voice of God is important. Once you awaken to how much you've given up to be accepted, to be loved, to be recognized, the pain of that. Okay. Her nervous system has learned to split between her authentic self and her performed self, creating internal fragmentation that leaves her feeling empty despite external success. The boardroom that validates her achievement feels like a prison where she betrays her deepest nature while her authentic self withers from neglect and abandonment. Yesterday we talked about that your life is a 24-hour job. The system is designed for you to give your most valuable years to making someone else rich. Your most valuable years to other people's priorities. The system is designed for this. The system is designed for this. And then you wake up and you realize, oh my God, all those years, while I was rebirthing myself at the onsen, I had so much rage. Oh my God. That's why it was so good for me to go into the steam room and the sauna, especially the sauna when it would get hot in that sauna. The rage that was coming through my lungs, I was like, I gave 23 years of my life. And no, I won't repeat another cycle. And this rage, it shows up slowly, but it's like an onion, peeling an onion. You start off looking, and the agreements you made, you start off by just thinking to yourself, why did I make that choice? I don't even know. The rage, the sadness. You feel stupid on top of that, but you're not really stupid. So for some of us, and I think this is why for women who have worked, men who have worked, they wake up and recognize, God, I gave up a lot of my time, my energy, sacred energy, life force for other people's agendas. If you were a woman or a man who stayed home to raise your children, the rage still exists. It still exists. And this is why empty nesters lose themselves and they're like, I'm no longer a mother, so what am I now? I don't know what I am. That's why narcissistic mothers, narcissistic fathers will say, you owe me. They will haunt you. They will harass you. They will steal from you. They will try to kill you. You owe me. You owe me. I gave you life. You owe me. Oh, yeah? It doesn't matter how much you can give these people. It doesn't matter. Because in their consciousness, they feel that I gave my life force to make you who you are. It doesn't matter how much you can give to them as a thank you. That sense of you owe me never ends. And they just imprison themselves in self-hatred, in more anger and bitterness. There's nothing you can do for them. Just leave them there. Just leave them there. This is why sometimes when you quit a job, your boss, your manager might just have a ranting experience and just anger. How dare you quit this company? How dare you quit this job? How dare you quit this job? You owe me your life force. At what cost? At what cost? I believe that this is why there's so many miserable people. There are so many unhappy, miserable people. Because we've all bought into this idea that to make my parents happy, I've got to follow this path. I don't know, maybe 4 months ago, 5 months ago, was speaking to a pharmacist. And this woman was angry. Okay, she was angry. She was hella angry. I wanted to be a doctor like my sister. And my parents just told me I need to just be a pharmacist because to be a full medical practitioner, it's going to take 4 more years. And if I decide to specialize, it's going to take me another 4 years. So that would be 12 years of education. But if I just went through pharmacy school, it was less time. And now I can't move out of the house. I have to take care of my parents because my older sister is still in med school because now she's specializing. So now I'm left with the responsibility. I said, the misery. The misery. The misery. The misery. As I've shared with you, my thing is, if it no longer feels good, I just leave. Let the chips fall where they may. If I must start again, okay. I start again. I learned something from the experience. I learned that I always need to trust my intuition. And when I'm heading down a path that does not suit me, that is not for me, my ancestors just, the dreams. And now I listen to my dreams. Oh, I listen. Because when I don't listen, I have misery. I walk down a path where, yes, I still get to learn what I need to learn. And then now when I have to come back, it's harder because I feel like a failure. I feel like a loser. I feel sad. I'm angry. Which is not necessarily true because I've learned something and I've grown as a person. Okay. Psychological adultery occurs when we betray our authentic self through secret relationships with false identities, personas, or versions of ourselves that violate our deepest psychological integrity. Our nervous system creates elaborate internal affairs with acceptable identities while abandoning our authentic nature. Stand in front of a mirror and look into your own eyes and ask, who am I when no one is watching? Who are you when nobody's watching? That's the real you. What? You saying that the real me is the person who's just walking around dancing, cooking, cleaning, wears different color nails, blue and yellow on this hand, pink and purple on this hand, wears pink eyelashes, goes to drum circle, and, just, yes. By the time I got to the island and started going to classes, drum circle, just living, just living, and just being a child again and remembering and just allowing myself to just rebirth myself in the ocean. Just go to ecstatic dance. And just dance, and just dance. Just go to art classes. I knew that if I hadn't done that for myself, I wasn't going to make it. Because I had strayed so far away from my authentic self to please family. That was my story. And it really does start in family. And when you decide to walk away from this identity that people have projected onto you, there will be backlash. I encourage you to notice who you are when nobody's watching. Do you sing? Do you talk to yourself? Do you dance? Do you like to just lounge and read a book? Do you talk fast and laugh out loud? Or do you need to be the person who's like, because that's what is apparently magnetic as a woman, but that's not your real self? I don't know. High value woman. Okay. Said who? According to whose standards? Whose standards of perfection is this? Who are you really? Do you know? And it's okay when you say, you know what, I don't really know who I am. I am a version of this Instagram influencer, this YouTube influencer, this person. And now I'm kind of confused. I really don't know who I am. I'm really, really confused. It's okay to say this. Because that is probably the first time you're going to tell the truth. And when you tell the truth to yourself about yourself, the masks start shattering. They start shattering. Because during this collapse, that is an initiation, honestly, for everyone. The masks are going to collapse. The authentic self is going to either be surrendered into so that it could rebirth itself as you, or forced. Either way. No more fake inauthenticity. That time is finished. So it's best, to just surrender to introspection so that you can find out who you really are. It's such a beautiful process. That awakening experience is so incredible. It's so incredible. While you're going through that experience, it is hell. Honestly, I am not going to sugarcoat it for you. I'm not going to tell you to reframe these things. It is hell. It is hell. But it is so worth it. It is so worth it. Because the confidence that arises from that willingness, that courage to break down and allow your consciousness to be rebirthed. It's like I now understand why people change their names after a major awakening. Like they change their names, they become Sahara Rose, Kyra, like even the people in the Bible change their names. I understand why they changed their names. I never understood why people change their names. I mean, I kind of understood it on an intellectual level, but now that I'm on the other side, I'm like, I understand why people change their names. Like, it's now an embodied understanding instead of just an intellectual understanding. Because I would read the Bible and these Bible, what was it called? Like study guides, Bible study guides. And there were disciples of Jesus that changed their names after they started following Yeshua. I said, okay, but like, why would you want to change your name? No, I get it now. I get it. I even changed. I woke up this morning and I was like, no. I no longer have the Buthelezi method because that is a version of me that was still tied to family. And after the just rebirthing of myself, after the full moon and going to the onsen and just rebirthing myself, I'm like, no, I'm not tied to this. No, I'm so thankful, but I'm not tied to this. And I think this is what my grandfather and my grandmother was trying to communicate to me way back 2006 when I was busy with Havit. I'm going to be Havit. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but oh God, I would have missed this opportunity to remember such valuable, profound wisdom from ancients of time that was encoded already, that I came with into this life experience. I remember my dad's mother coming into my dreams and saying, you are going to get lost. Yeah, Ntombazana. You are going to get lost. I say, yeah. I'm so thankful for that and for listening. it seemed strange because I'm like, I invested so much time, so much money. Why would I just quit in the middle? Oh, now I understand. Now I understand. So, stand in front of the mirror and look into your own eyes. Ask, who am I when no one is watching? What parts of me do I betray through false identities? Feel any tension between your authentic self and your performed self. And say, I choose psychological integrity through authentic self-expression. No matter what it is, whatever you believe is magnetic, whatever you believe is high value, as long as you believe it for yourself and it is from introspection instead of projection or looking outside. Oh, I want to be like that. I want to be like that. But is that really you? Can you handle the frequency of whatever that person is emulating? Can you handle that frequency? Because, for somebody to be authentic, it has taken them to die to lies. It has taken them to die to inauthenticity. And the experiences that they've had to go through to die to inauthenticity, maybe you can't handle. And as soon as because life is such, anything that is inauthentic must be brought to truth. Lies have no power. So you must be able to weather that change. And most people, if you have not gone through your own experience and told the truth about your own lived experience, when the truth is now seeking to express itself, you will fragment. You will end up in a psych ward. Oh, yes. The nature of human. Okay. So I was sharing with you that I woke up and I said to myself, I understand now why people who have gone through major spiritual awakenings. I really appreciate Kyra's work. Kyra, she's really a beautiful spiritual teacher that I found 2016. And I was wondering to myself, why did this woman change her name? What is her name? Her name is Kyra. And I was so perplexed. I was really perplexed. Now I get it. I really get it. So I woke up with this truth and this understanding. And I even changed my program from the Buthelezi method to the Tembi transformation. Because it's the hope transformation. Hope in your own body, in your own nervous system, that your nervous system will carry you through. Because I'm like, no, this is not the Buthelezi method. That's nice and well, but these people were not there. It was my nervous system that had to live through the hell. It was my nervous system that had to go through the sleepless nights. No, this is my transformation, the Tembi transformation. So that was just such an awakening for me. I'm like, this is what sovereignty means. It means that I stand sovereign with the Tembi transformation that I've had in my own body. So because I'm speaking from truth, I'm speaking from my lived experience. And I now understand what my grandmother was saying and the dreams my grandfather was trying to communicate to me. 2006, you will get lost. He just saying, you will get lost. I get it now. Ngiyabonga mkhulu. Gane wakabuthelezi. Ngiyabonga gogo. Ay, da. Thank you, Makhosi. Makhosazana. Yeah, you can thank your ancestors, but you don't need to continue. Your true ancestry is God consciousness. Your true ancestry is God consciousness. So, Doctor, Dr. Amanda, thank you so much for your story, because there's a lot of Dr. Amandas and Sister Amandas and Nurse Amandas and Accountant Amandas, Designer Amandas. We have a lot of these people, male and female. So today I would like for us 10. I would like for us to actually practice the exercise. We're going to do the transformation, Tembi transformation. Who am I when no one is watching? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to breathe, close our eyes. Let me just explain the process before we start. So we're going to breathe, close our eyes, bring our body into stillness, the present moment. And in that stillness, we are going to go back into a time when we remembered, or where we remember when we were last happy about ourselves, not about an achievement. Even the achievement of losing weight, or the achievement of buying a house, or the achievement of getting married, or being in a relationship, or having children, or opening up your first bank account. No, nothing on the external. Nothing on the external. No achievement based on external factors. Nothing like this. But where we were just happy. It could be 5 years old. It could be 8 years old. You never know what's going to show up. So we're just going to be quiet. And we're going to allow ourselves to tap into the wisdom that is already there from our authentic self. And let it speak. Yes. It's already there. So I'm going to move some energy. Heavy topic. Okay. Call back our energy. Return back to sender what is not ours. Projections from employers, from the school system, from your family, from your spouse, your friends. We send it all back. Thank you very much. Not my stuff. Not my frequency, not my fate. Sorry, not for me. Okay? Then we're going to allow our authentic self to just speak. You never know where, what age. Okay, go. So please make sure that we close your eyes. Sit up straight. Drop your shoulders. And be in the current moment. Just be in the present moment. In the here and now. And if the rattle, the shaking is a bit loud and you're like, oh, it's not going to be for too long. It's just so that I can shift the energy. And if it's a bit too much, maybe you just turn down the volume just a little bit. But I don't want to mess with my volume. It's working really well right now. So you can turn down the volume if it's a bit too much. As you are listening to, 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 as you are listening to. As you are listening to, 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 as you are listening to. As you are listening to, 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 as you are listening to. As you are listening to, 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 abawela bantu, as you are listening to. As you are listening to, 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 are you let me moya, are you let me moya, are you let me moya. You will let me moya, 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 you will let me moya. Oh, siyabonga mvelinqangi nomkhubulwa. Ayiwe le mimoya. Seyiwile le mimoya. Le mimoya seyiwile. Lezinto seziwile. Iwile mimoya boo. Yeah. So please gently take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. As you drop your shoulders. Now I'd like for you to go back into your memory bank. And remember a time when you were authentic. When you just were yourself. When nobody was watching and you just felt like, you know what, today or this moment, I just am okay with being myself. It doesn't matter what you were doing. But this moment will show up as a memory, a remembrance, a lived experience where you were alone and you were enjoying, being in joy with yourself. Remember that time. Allow your body to remember what happiness, what ecstasy of being authentic feels like, based on the memory of a time in your life where you were just authentic. Please narrate what is going on in your experience as you remember a time in your life when you were just happy being authentic. Where are you? What are you doing? How old are you? What are you wearing? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are you feeling? Touching? What are you tasting? What are you smelling in the air? Now I would like for you to listen to the intuitive voice that is coming through. It might be a still small voice. It might be a timid voice. It might be a giggly voice. It doesn't really matter, but it's just this voice of rest, this voice of assurance that you're doing the right thing in this moment. What is it saying to you? Now, please ask this intuitive voice, this sense of knowing that is communicating through you. By repeating after me. Now that I know how to tap into you, my higher self, my authentic self, please share with me how we can maintain a loving, committed relationship with each other. And let your authentic self speak. Good. Now, please ask your authentic self by repeating after me. Thank you for this wisdom. Please show me how I have sabotaged myself in the past and disconnected from our relationship. Good. Now, by repeating after me, please ask your authentic self. Okay, so repeat after me. My authentic self, thank you for the wisdom. Now, please tell me, share with me how to release the need for outside voices, outside validation, and develop 100% trust with you. Please tell me how to do this. Good. Now, I would like for you to thank your authentic self, higher self, in your own way, within your own words. Thank yourself for remembering. Thank your brain, thank your body for remembering a time when you were just happy being yourself. Thank yourself for this. Now that you have connection with your authentic self, what happens is you can start developing a loving, committed, intimate relationship through daily practice, through weekly practice. Because now you've opened the door. You've said to yourself, I'm willing. I'm willing. I'm willing. Not even I'm committed. I'm willing. to have a relationship with myself. This is powerful. It is powerful. All of the answers are within you. All the joy is within you. The next stage of your unfoldment is within you. The map is within you. You don't need to copy anybody. You don't need to clone yourself as anyone else. It's all within. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Ah. Oh my God. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. Ah. If you experience emotion like I am experiencing emotion at the moment, know that it's okay. It's okay. Emotions are healthy. They are energy moving, energy in motion. Please take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Please open your eyes. Smile. Please practice this again. It's really helpful. Yeah, I love you. I need to go and have my own moment. I'm free. I'm free. I'm free. I pray this freedom upon you. I pray this level of authentic expression upon you. Call back your energy. That level of freedom is priceless. It's priceless. I'm free. I'm free. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being with me. Practice this as much as you need to. Find your freedom. Find your joy. Find who you authentically are. And live in your truth. Live in your authenticity. Live in your truth. It will free you. I will see you tomorrow.